Hello, good day everyone. Welcome to Group 3's debate. My name is Janhel B. Balistoy and I'm your host for today. So now, there are many statements regarding the retraction of Rizal, and the two popular statements from the eyewitnesses are from Father Vicente Balaguer and from the Cuerpo de Vigilancia. For today's debate, our group will be debating about the testimonies from the two sides. So which testimony is more reliable? Is it the Jesuits' testimony or the Cuerpo's testimony? So let's wrap things up and put your hands together for the first speaker for the Jesuits' testimony, Mr. Yumar Joven.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable juries, respected teacher, and to my fellow classmates, good evening. My name is Joven Castillo Leonar. As the first speaker in the Balaguer side, we would like to write our views supporting Father Balaguer's testimony as the primary source of the retraction of Rizal. Father Vicente Balaguer was one of the Jesuit priests who visited Rizal during his final hours in Fort Santiago and persuaded Rizal to reject the Masonry and to return to Catholic faith. He pledged in an affidavit executed in 1917 when he returned to Spain that he was the one who solemnized the marriage of Josephine Bracken before the hero's execution. Thus, we believe that his statement is reliable and authentic.
Thank you, Mr. Lunar. Now it's the time for the Cuerpo de Vigilancia to give her argument. Now the time is yours.
A pleasant day to all of us, honorable jurists, teacher, and to my classmates. Thank you for the opportunity for today's debate. I am Angelica Balistoy, and as the first speaker of Corfu de Villagencia version, I strongly support the Corfu de Villagencia version as a reliable source for the retraction of Rizal. Federico Moreno was one of the eyewitnesses of what happened in Rizal's prison cell before his execution. His statement contains several details that could be used to support or refute the claim that Rizal reverted to Catholicism and renounced Masonry. Because Moreno was neither a member of Catholic hierarchy nor a Mason. Unlike Father Balaguer, the fact that he is a priest, there is a high chance that his statement was biased and not reliable.
Father Balaguer is not biased. It is true that he is present during the last 24 hours of Rizal. He even performed the canonical marriage of Rizal and Josefina. He performed it in front of Rizal's sister between 6 and 6:25 a.m. on December 20. So, there is a witness that proves that Father Balaguer is with Rizal in his last hour. How can you prove that he is biased and unreliable?
You said that during that time there are witnesses. But Moreno was an eyewitness. In his statement, there are no sponsors and witnesses during the marriage. None of Rizal's sisters went to the fort that morning. Does it mean Father Balaguer is lying about his presence?
Even though Father Balaguer's reliability was being questioned, his version was in his sworn affidavit that he was personally present and involved in the negotiation with Rizal. He was the one who assisted Rizal in his remaining days. Since Father Balaguer had a personal knowledge of Rizal retraction, doesn't it mean that his statement should be the primary source and more reliable? This is his sworn affidavit.
Revered Vicente Balaguer Lacer, the priest who became God's instrument in the conversion of and retraction of Rizal.
Your argument is redundant, Mr. Castellano. Do you mean that if you're raised as a Catholic, you can tell a lie? And as for Moreno's account, it was considered more objective than Father Balaguer's statement. He was in full Santiago, not to serve a specific interest group, but to carry out the function related to his job, in contrast of Father Balaguer, who is a person with motives. In fact, Moreno's report was written a day after the event. It proves that the document was authentic, so we believe that his statement is more accurate against Father Balaguer's statement.
Here's a challenge from a female artist on her Facebook account post.
I want you to defend your arguments to the opposition and give evidence.
I can prove his accuracy, Miss Igora. I have evidences that Father Balaguer has the document of the retraction with the signature of Rizal and the witnesses. He even said in his notarized testimony, this retraction was signed together with Dr. Rizal by Senior Fresno, Chief of Pecat, and Senior Moore, the Adjutant of the Plaza. He even visited Rizal 3 times in the prison cell on December 29, 1896. The first time he was in from morning to 10 to 12:30. It was during this meeting that he presented the retraction template to Rizal, but later did not sign. It was during this meeting that they showed Rizal the 2 retraction templates. There are 2 retraction templates prepared by the Superior of the Jesuit Society in the Philippines, Father Pio. Rizal found the first template unacceptable because it was too long and its language and style were not reflective of Rizal's personality. So Father Balaguer withdrew it and offered the shorter one. Rizal did not sign it right away because he was uncomfortable with the statement, I abominate masonry as a society reprobate by the church. Rizal wrote his retraction after making some modification of the document. I abominate masonry as the enemy of the church and reprobated by the same church. After making other minor changes to the draft, Rizal signed his retraction letter before midnight. Father Balaguer handed it over to Father Pio. How can he know this thing if he wasn't there? That means he was presented during this event, not just like Moreno's statements, who is just observing and watching from afar.
Here's a question from Donald Trump in his Twitter.
How can you prove the statements of both sides based on facts?
Federico Moreno, a guard at the cell of Rizal, has a report that contains the details that contradict Father Balaguer's affidavit. Moreno never mentioned that Father Balaguer in his report, which is the most serious and obvious discrepancy. Father Balaguer has consistently claimed that he was present in Rizal's prison cell and actively involved in convincing him to retract. However, in Moreno's account, only 2 Jesuits are identified, which is Father Jose Villaclara and Father Stanislao March, which means Father Balaguer's statement was inconsistent.
Federico Moreno was not consistent as well. He did not provide any details on the contents of the retraction because he was witnessing the event from a distance. So, there was a possibility that he can't recognize Balaguer as well because he was a priest and not an ordinary person. The Cuerpo de Vigilancia collection has several erroneous reports. For example, Cuerpo agents had inaccurate reports about Emilio Aguinaldo. So, there's a possibility that because of their commitment for submitting dispatches on time, agents ended up submitting reports that were historically inaccurate. This alone reduced the credibility of the Cuerpo de Vigilancia statement. How can you prove that their statement are facts?
The fact that Moreno never mentioned Balaguer in his report
casts a cloud of doubt on the veracity and accuracy of his affidavit. He did not have personal knowledge of what happened to Rizal the day before he died. If his affidavit contains accurate historical details, he got them from those who were with Rizal on December 29, 1896. Father Balaguer claimed that he was the chief negotiator who convinced Rizal to recant, and he talked to Rizal 3 times that day. How could Moreno miss him? The fact that Moreno was able to identify the names of Rizal's relatives and the other visitors who talked to Rizal proves that Balaguer was not physically present in the prison cell. There is no reason why Moreno would not mention Father Balaguer in his report if he talked to Rizal 3 times.
Conclusion to our side agreement. I will present the evidence with the signed retraction of Rizal. With a translation of the document, this is the document with translation.
Me declaro católica y en esta religión en que nací y me eduqué quiero vivir y morir. Me retracto de todo corazón de cuanto en mis palabras, escritos, impresos y conducta ha habido contrario a mi cualidad de hijo de la Iglesia Católica.
I retract with all my heart whatever in my words, writings, publications and conduct has been contrary to my character as son of the Catholic Church. I believe and I confess whatever she teaches and I submit to whatever she demands.
Creo y profeso cuanto ella enseña y me someto a cuanto ella manda. Abomino de la masonería, como enigma que es de la Iglesia, y como sociedad prohibida por la Iglesia.
I abominate Masonry, as the enemy which is of the Church, and as a society prohibited by the Church. The diocesan prelate may, as the superior ecclesiastical authority, make public this spontaneous manifestation of mine in order to repair the scandal.
Puede el prelado diocesano, como autoridad superior eclesiástica, hacer pública esta manifestación espontánea mía para reparar el escándalo que mis actos hayan podido causar, y para que Dios y los hombres me perdonen.
Which my acts may have caused and so that God and people may pardon me.
By this evidence, we on our sides claim that Father Balaguer affidavit should be seen as the primary source and the most reliable statement of retraction of Rizal.
Honorable Judge on our side, there are at least 8 cuerpo documents that can be used in primary source in clarifying certain retraction controversies. It was proven in our history. I will present the Cuerpo de Vigilancia statement. This is the evidence.
At 3 in the afternoon, Father March entered the chapel and Rizal handed him what he had written. Immediately the chief of the firing squad, Senor Del Fresno, and the assistant of the plaza, Senor Moore, were informed. They entered death row and together with Rizal signed the document that the accused had written. It seems this was the retraction.
The Cuerpo de Vigilancia statement states that Rizal, together with Juan Del Fresno and Senor Maure, signed the document. The retraction document that Father Garcia found in 1935. One sees that the 3 persons Moreno identified were signatories of the document. The statement and evidence are linked to each other. Thus, this report damages the credibility of Father Balaguer. All his statements were actually belied by facts.
The Father Balaguer's statement side is based on Father Balaguer's testimony. However, this is not enough and should be further given an evidence and eyewitness statements of what he claims are true. The Cuerpo de Vigilancia was successfully established as strong statements. However, it only focuses on Moreno's statements and doesn't give a strong evidence to justify the arguments, but Moreno's account can be considered more credible than the affidavit and evidence given by the Catholic Church and the Masons. The Cuerpo de Vigilancia side argued that Moreno was a neutral eyewitness and had no interest in protecting his particular issue. His presence in Fort Santiago was just a call of duty, and the report that he submitted was a requirement connected with his job. On the one hand, the Cuerpo de Vigilancia statement reduces Father Balaguer's affidavit to a secondary source by insinuating that Father Balaguer was not an eyewitness of Rizal's last 24 hours. Because of that, my vote is within the Cuerpo de Vigilancia side, as they argued effectively against Father Balaguer's statement. And that's the final verdict. Thank you.
The vote has been decided. Now for the winner, let's give a round of applause for the group of Cuerpo de Vigilancia. You won this debate. Congratulations again. And even now, even though there are the Jesuit testimony and the Cuerpo de Vigilancia statement that proves that Rizal did retract, whether it is true or just a rumor from Spaniards to defame his name, let us not forget that because of his death, it unifies and awakens the spirit and nationalism of every Filipino to reclaim their independence from the colonizers. Let us also not forget those brave men of old that sacrifices their lives to regain the freedom we are experiencing today. So let's all stand up and put our hands on our heart to give respect to our heroes.
This debate was inspired by visiting Rizal 24 Hour. Father Vicente Balaguer, a Jesuit missionary. The Cuerpo de Vigilancia de Manila, Security Corps of Manila, was the intelligence service that the Spanish colonial government created in 1895. It was organized primarily to gather information on the activities of Katipunan members and supporters.
Of all that has been narrated, I am positive by personal knowledge. I have personally intervened and witnessed it myself, and I subscribed and confirmed it with an oath. And lest, perhaps, someone may think that I could not remember it with so many details, after 20 years. I testify that on the very day of Rizal's death, I wrote a very detailed account of everything. The original of this account I have preserved. The original discovered by Father Manuel Garcia, CM on May 18, 1935. Translation, English. La Voz Española, December 30, 1896. Father Balaguer's text, January 1897. At least 4 texts of Rizal's retraction have surfaced. The 4th text appeared in El Impartial on the day after Rizal's execution. It is the short formula of the retraction. The first text was published in La Voz Española and Diario de Manila on the very day of Rizal's execution, December 30, 1896. The second text appeared in Barcelona, Spain, on February 14, 1897, in the fortnightly magazine in La Juventud. It came from an anonymous writer who revealed himself 14 years later as Father Balaguer. The original text was discovered in the Archdiocesan archives on May 18, 1935, after it disappeared for 39 years from the afternoon of the day when Rizal was shot. Cuerpo de Vigilancia Statement. Last gift to Josephine Bracken mi ultimo adios. Father Jose Villaclara was a missionary in Dipolog and confronted with the task of building a church. He knew Jose Rizal very well, having been his professor the previous year in philosophy at the Ateneo.